Pound for Pound Sports, everybody. I'm Nick.
I'm Darren.
And thank you once again for joining us. Sorry I got tongue-tied there for a second. I just want to throw out our website, pfpsports.com. And, of course, we have to shamelessly plug our Facebook and Twitter all day long, Pound for Pound Sports. Make sure you hit like. We're always throwing stuff up there and giving updates for our other show, guests, everything new that we're working on. So make sure you give it a look. At Nick, PFP Sports.
I'm at Darren, PFP Sports.
And I also want to point out to everybody on Justin TV and everybody in the UK, pretty much everybody that's not San Diego. For those of you that don't know, we have another radio show on Saturday every morning at 9 Pacific time. It's actually on an ESPN affiliate. It's a totally different show, and I feel compelled to point out the fact that it's a little bit different than some of the other things you see on SureDog and MMA Weekly. I mean, yeah, they have their own radio show and and they've been around for a while, but we got a lot of new concepts. I mean, we have a lot of similar guests, but we really try to be dynamic, and we really try to not have any Mauro Ronaldo analogies or anything like that. So just want to point that out. Make sure you guys go to pfpsports.com on the main page and click on the radio. I think it has an ESPN app. Now the website's changing every day, but last time I checked,
check it out. Follow it online. We actually had a caller from Minnesota last week, UFC Cupcake. So. Good looking out.
Absolutely. So, hey, man, let's just dive right into it.
You know what? I kind of wanted to say something real quick. Yes, we did plan the T-shirts here. So before you guys start commenting down here, you could suck it. That's what happens when people send you free stuff.
Oh, yeah, you're going to get nothing but haters on YouTube. But that's okay, man. I thoroughly enjoyed all the haters last week. Let's hope we get some more. And I also love doing the show, man, because it's totally organic. Like I said, it's always different than the one that we do before. It's more or less mainstream opinions.
You know, I just won the pound-for-pound drinking game. How many times you're going to say organic tonight?
Yeah, well, like to see you crack open a beer first. I thought you gave all that up, man. Who are you kidding?
I did.
I have no idea what he just said, but anyway, let's get to it, man. World Series of Fighting. UFC's finally got some competition. I think it's kind of a ballsy move for those of you that don't know. New promotion, World Series of Fighting. They just applied for their license in Nevada, and I do believe they were granted the right to go there and start promoting fights. I think it's fantastic. I've always been a huge fan of competition. They're starting out with a new, I think it's a 16-man tournament. 16?
I'm not really sure.
I thought no, you know what? It was either 12 or 16. I heard, but either way, like I said, it's a brand new promotion. It's a little different than ONE FC and some of the other people out there. I mean, they're not looking for people that are completely past their prime, but there's a lot of people that make their stops through the UFC. They fight a couple fights, and they're still young. They still got some life on the clock. But I want to know from you. Let's get your opinion first. First off, are you a fan of the competition, and do you think it's a good move for a new promotion to do something like that?
Yeah, competition's great for everybody. I don't see how this is any different. The fact that they're challenging UFC in UFC's backyard to Las Vegas. I mean, they're trying to hold their first event in Las Vegas, and they're going to hold their first event in Las Vegas. It's to me, if you're going to come up in an upcoming promotion, you got to offer something different.
Yeah, I agree.
And to me, the whole tournament style is kind of played out. Bellator's already got that in wraps. I don't like it.
I've always been a fan of the tournament.
I don't like it. There's too much stuff to go wrong. Injuries.
That's true.
They're just the amount of times. I mean, it'd be different if tournament lasted a month, like March Madness, something like that. But it doesn't. It lasts years.
It's not like it's not even like Dream or like it used to be where you have multiple fights in one night. I mean, look at what just happened at the Strikeforce. It took almost a year or better to complete.
Yeah, and you can't have that. New promotions, if you're trying to, they're basically going to have to do the same thing. They're going to have to sign the UFC cast-offs. I mean, Roger Horta is one of their big names.
Joey Villasenor. I mean, those are names that people recognize.
They're UFC names without the UFC talent, is what they are, which is just going to cost them money.
See, I disagree. I think that those are names. Those aren't past their prime. I mean, they're not like ONE FC, which we'll get to in a second, that are promoting, Arlovsky, Sylvia, 4. I mean, guys that are way, way past their prime. I mean, I think guys.
Horta, he's lost. What does he drop? Like 5 or 6?
Well, he did get that soccer kick in the face. I don't think he'll ever be the same after that. I mean, I see your point, but those aren't the only 2 names on the roster.
No, yes, I know, but those are the kind of guys you're going to get. I mean, you're not going to get the big stars.
No, I mean, you're not going to get UFC style, stars. But I mean, like I said, maybe they give them a run for their money from a production standpoint. I know that they have a rumored NBC deal. Everybody seems to be really big on the fact that not only do they have that deal kind of in the works, but that they seem pretty confident they're going to have that ready to go before the first show. So.
Yeah, I think if they go into it with just trying to compete with UFC, it's not going to happen. I mean,
well, no, they're not going to be able to compete with that.
If they're just there to be another promotion, the problem is as soon as some of their talent and their self-grown talent gets good enough to be in the UFC, I mean, Uncle Dana's going to sign him.
Well, yeah, that's the problem, is that nobody's going to be able to compete with that UFC money. I mean, that everybody knows that going into it. For me, the thing that sticks out is the fact that, I mean, they're already talking about an NBC deal. I mean, it took the UFC a really long time to work out a major network TV deal. Not because they couldn't. I mean, I'm sure they could have done it a lot sooner than they did. They were waiting for the right deal, is what Dana always said. But, I mean, the fact that, like I said, they're on a major network, like NBC running opposite Fox. I mean, that's kind of a big deal.
Oh, that's a huge deal.
You know,
it's a huge deal. To me, it's got to be something that they could offer different. I mean, we've seen the name is slipping me. IFL, I think it was, that tried the team concept.
Right.
Didn't really work.
No.
The tournament with Bellator and even Strikeforce, Invicta, they have the all women's. I think that's probably the best way to go at this point. So they got to offer something not only to us fans, but something to the fighters. You know, I mean, as dirty as it is for me to even think about it, you know, at least like the ONE FCs and the Rest in Peace Pride, stuff like that. You know, at least they kind of turn their head when it comes to the piss test. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you know, at least they could. Do stuff like that, but they got to have something new to offer the fans. Yeah, no, I mean,
I completely agree. I mean, it would be nice to see a new concept, but then again, I mean, it's become so mainstream. I mean, what can you really offer that hasn't already been done?
That's what I'm thinking. I have no idea.
And at the end of the day, it's like it almost seems that like there's as many fighters, you know, being developed and actually getting into the game, and there's not really a lot of people retiring. That's kind of the problem. A lot of people don't really know when to retire. I'm not saying that Joey Villaseñor and Roger Huerta's those guys are not, but I mean the fact is, I mean, UFC can only have so many people on their roster. So can Dream, and so can all the other people.
Yeah,
you know? So
I agree.
Just get another place. Hopefully they can develop.
There's definitely enough fighters for all these promotions. That's for sure.
It'd be good if they could develop their own talent. That's what I'd like to see somebody do.
That'd be nice.
So we'll see, man. Big ballsy move, man. They move right back into the UFC's backyard, and I'm a fan of that. And I like the tournament, so we'll see what happens. GSP medically cleared for UFC 154. That's supposed to happen November 17 in Montreal. He's facing the interim champ Carlos Condit. I want to get your first off, your early assessment of that matchup, and do you think that he's done everything right? I mean, what kind of a performance do you think that we can expect from GSP? He's been on the shelf for a while now.
Yeah. I mean, it's been a year and a half, and I think we're going to see a safe game plan where he. We've been seeing that for the last 3 years.
I mean, you're not.
No, I think he's going to, he's going to enforce his wrestling. I don't think any of that's going to change.
Do you think a guy like Carlos Condit's going to give him a run for his money? Does he have something to offer that other opponents haven't?
I want to think he can, but no, I don't. I think GSP's going to go in there, take him down at will, hold him down on the ground, and win the fight.
Just haven't seen anybody be able to stuff that takedown. At least
he's
not
too
come
good.
From him.
He's too good.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that Carlos Condit. Well, I can't say he's not really a knockout threat. He could put one right on the button. I mean, he's as good as anybody out there. We've seen
GSP get rocked before. Did you see that fly? Just totally flew.
I know. There's some. There he is. That's your boy.
We've seen GSP get rocked before. So, I mean, that wouldn't surprise me. Do I think it's going to happen? Would I put my money on it? Absolutely not.
Not
it's funny with GSP, though. We mentioned this couple months back, but he's almost got brushed aside. You look at some of these big websites and their rankings, and they don't even have him on there because he hasn't been active in the last year, which I completely disagree with. One thing to retire, it's another thing to be out for injury. Yeah. Whatever. The guy's still the best welterweight in the world.
Yeah, so all of a sudden he's won, and then he's not even worthy to make a top 10.
The guy's still the best welterweight in the world. Injured or not, he's going to be back. I think he's going to make another run. We'll see what kind of performance he puts on, but I think it's going to be the same old GSP.
Well, I don't think anything's guaranteed in this life except for death and taxes, but he's got a good opportunity to face a really credible opponent in Carlos Condit. And like I said, I'm kind of tired of people talking about this Anderson Silva super fight. He's got a tough test, and Carlos Condit behind him is a plethora of guys at 170. I mean, that division, you could have said maybe 2 years ago it was cleaned out, but now we got a whole logjam.
If it wasn't for this injury and he had already beaten Condit,
and Nick Diaz, that's another one.
Maybe we could talk about that because they're both kind of at a stall right now. But no, it's especially a year and a half layoff, and we want to talk that super fight. Absolutely not. Let's see what he looks like before we start putting him up against Anderson Silva.
Quit talking super fights. Let's get past some of the guys that are looking to take his title.
And he kind of. Any other fighter on the UFC roster, that kind of layoff, well, I shouldn't say any other fighter, non-champion, that kind of layoff, they kind of throw him a cupcake, first fight back. I mean, he's got
I think it's just hard. Well, I think it's hard when you're, you're widely regarded in the top 3 pound for pound in the world. I would say, anybody else probably should, but, if you're going to talk about people in that conversation, I mean, I just don't see how that's possible.
Yeah.
It makes sense, but I don't think it's going to happen.
I think the odds have opened up officially, and he's like a 3-1. I think I saw. So
it might be fair. I don't think it would be fair to say a guy on the shelf is going to be 6-1 Well, Ronda Rousey was. I mean, that's another argument for another day. I still think that's ridiculous, even though she won.
It wasn't ridiculous. She walked right through her.
6-1's crazy. And, for a guy that's been on the shelf, I think 6-1 might be a little crazy. 3-1, that sounds about right.
Yeah, no, it does.
They got it right this time. You mentioned Invicta. They signed Sarah Kaufman. Sarah Kaufman, she just loses to Ronda Rousey. 6-1, whether you believe it or not, whether it was warranted or not. I mean, the fact is she lost. Is it a good move for her going from Strikeforce to Invicta, or did she take a step back? I mean, how do you see that?
Yeah, because if she stayed in Strikeforce, what can she really do? She's got the top. I mean, to me, in my honest opinion, Ronda Rousey showed Kaufman doesn't belong in there with her right now. Whether or not she does in the future, who knows? But Ronda Rousey walked right through her punches like it had no effect. So I think this is a great move for Invicta, though. You're getting a big name.
Great for them.
Yeah, you're getting a big name fighter coming off, one of the biggest women's fights ever.
Yeah.
And it just does nothing but help build that promotion. I know Cyborg Santos has hinted at a few times that when her contract's up, she might look that way too. So the one thing that scares me though is girls like that going over there and not having the competition. So we'll see.
Well, I see that as an advantage for her, and I mean even people like Cyborg. I mean, who knows what's going to happen with her and Rousey, but I almost see that as an advantage, them getting a chance to make a big splash in a small pond over there. And I don't think they're going to go forever without getting a TV deal. I think, like I said, you mentioned original concepts and doing things that other people aren't. I mean, that's it right there.
They're getting over 300,000 people streaming their events online.
Yeah, they're going to get
TV
a TV deal.
Is right around the corner.
It's not far away. I mean, let's be honest. I think it's a great move for them. I don't know. I don't really see it as a step down. To be honest with you, I think probably more people are watching Invicta at this point in time than Strikeforce.
Absolutely. I think there's more excitement around Invicta right now than there is Strikeforce.
Absolutely.
You take away Ronda Rousey, who is women's biggest draw right now, and then what do they have really?
Yeah, that's it. I mean, like I said, they've got a stage. They got your boy Morrow.
Yeah, my boy.
They got Jimmy Lennon Jr. He's pretty good. I'm actually a fan of his.
You throw. I can't believe you called him my boy. You throw. I just completely lost my thought.
I threw you the curveball there, man. I'm sorry.
Throw a card on there without Ronda Rousey, and the ratings are going to be bad.
Yeah,
I like guys on the card. I mean, I'm a big fan of Jacare. There's a lot of guys on that roster.
Woodley.
There's a lot of guys on that roster that are exciting fighters, but for some reason, whether it's to have to stay up till 2:00 in the morning on the West Coast,
not helping.
The team, I don't know what it is. I've been down on Strikeforce for a while, and I still am.
Yeah, they're a bit steep for the price of a show, and staying up till 3 in the morning on West Coast, although everything's tailored to the West Coast. People everywhere else are probably saying, what are they bitching about? Football, everything. You guys got everything.
We're not used to it, though.
Yeah, right. We're not used to rain over here either, so, I mean, it is what it is. We'll see what happens. Jens Pulver, I just want to get your opinion on this because, we always sit here and talk about guys that have been sticking around for a long time. What happened? I mean, like I said, beginning of the show, we're talking about so many people developing and coming up, but guys like Jens Pulver are having a hard time letting it go. He signs with ONE FC. What do you make of this guy? I mean, he's a well, I guess we could save that conversation, the Hall of Fame part of it for Saturday. But what do you think of Jens Pulver? He's 4-8 in his last 12. It's brutal knockout losses. I mean, the guy's retired like 2-3 times now. Here he is going to go for ONE FC, and ONE FC is basically the laughing stock of the MMA world, if you will, just signing guys that are way past their prime who used to have names like 6-7 years ago. I mean, is this a good move for him? Good move for ONE FC?
No. Jens Pulver. I mean,
across the board.
Yeah, Jens Pulver needs to hang it up. But you know what? We sit here and say that. Who are we to sit here and say he needs to hang it up? I mean, if the guy's 37 years old, he's not completely over the hill.
No, I mean,
as far as the MMA world is concerned, but.
He's not.
There comes a point in time where his teammates have got to tell him, hey, dude, I think it's time you hang it up. Maybe he needs the money. I don't know. Well, maybe it's the rush of the fight. Who are we? If he still has the passion to go in there and bust his ass in training camp, and go through all the pre-fight stuff, dropping the weight, doing all that stuff, who are we to sit here and say don't go?
Nobody.
If people are still signing them, then do it, man.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. There's always going to be a ONE FC around, not really looking out for the safety of a fighter. I mean, the guy's 4-8, like I said, with brutal knockouts. This guy's been fighting since 1999. He was the first UFC lightweight champ out there. I mean, think about that. Where was MMA in 1999?
Yeah.
Was anybody? I don't even think. I think it was probably barred at that point in time. I mean, people were fighting in warehouses in Louisiana. I mean, forget about pay-per-view. That's how long this guy's been around. So, to be here in 2012, having that many fights on your record. I mean, what do you have left to prove at this point?
He's got nothing to prove. And as a matter of fact, I think the only thing that's going to happen if he sticks around is, maybe his legacy starts getting a little bit tarnished.
I think it's been tarnished.
Yeah,
that's the problem.
And he might already be past that, but
he's an awesome guy too, man. I've always liked Jens Pulver. I mean, whether you like the camps that he's come from, whatever.
He's just got to be styled up against the perfect opponent for him to still put on an exciting fight.
Yeah, I think that's really. I mean, when all's said and done, we always sit here and we talk about how many title shots does a guy have? 2, 3. Some guys at some point in time are reduced to, what an interesting fight is. Can he grab a couple bucks? And at this point in time, yeah, you got to stick him up against guys that he could look good against. The problem is, I think guys that like the guy he's getting ready to fight he's a young buck that throws bombs, wicked knockout power, and guys that are young and hungry. I mean, you're talking about 14, 15-year difference in some cases, man. I mean, I just think that it's inevitable that he's going to take a fall as long as.
I still remember when he came over to I think it was the WEC, when he was first making his 145 debut. Everybody talked about that being the weight class for him, and then he goes out and beats Cub Swanson. I mean, under a minute, I think.
Yeah, and very young Cub Swanson.
Yeah,
at the time.
and then I don't even he
now
lose
like
his next 5. I mean,
he
went on a serious losing streak after that.
Yeah, I know. Like I said, I mean, you put him up against guys that are young and hungry, and don't have any miles put on him, if any. A guy that's been around since '99. That's a big difference, man.
Yeah,
There's only so much. I mean, look at guys like Nogueira. I mean, guys that really. You look at the wars that they've been in, the toll it's taken on your body, and then you look at how old he is. He's really not that old a guy.
No, he's not.
I mean, some guys are young and they just have some crazy miles put on them. I think Pulver's one of them, man. I just don't want to see the guy get hurt, But like I said, you stick around in this game long enough, man, you're gonna go out on your shield. And problem is, I think Jens Pulver's already gone out on the shield a couple
times. Yeah, but with that being said, best of luck to him.
Best of luck to him, man. Speaking of guys that are going to need luck here, Saturday, Arlovsky Sylvia 4 in Manila. It's funny because I keep getting these emails from Andrei Arlovsky, join the live chat, and I'm not taking a poo-poo on Arlovsky here. That guy's always been a favorite of mine. Always, and the guy's a fantastic fighter. Sylvia too, for that matter. Sylvia's got a lot of good history in the UFC, a lot of good fights. Everybody's talking about his last 8. I mean, he's the guys that he's beat are guys that he's supposed to beat. And he's had a couple of surprise losses there, and he's ballooned up a little bit.
Ray Mercer.
Yeah, I mean, the point I'm getting at is that Arlovsky Sylvia 4, it's in the Philippines. I get these email notifications, and they, we're giving away free tickets. And I'm like, wait, it's in the Philippines, man. Who's got time to get on a plane and...
for that, dude. Who would go
that fight could last 60 seconds for all we know. You know what I mean? The plane ride's probably 18 hours in the States. I mean, interesting nonetheless. They're expecting a sellout crowd of 16,000. I mean, that just goes to show you, Asian culture, man. They love that fighting, and they don't get a whole lot of mainstream shows over there. All the TV deals are over here. So, got to ask you, are you going to watch that fight?
I was just checking my cable box this morning, and it is on American pay-per-view Sunday night.
And how much is it? Do you know?
It doesn't matter. I was trying to think. How much is too much? Let me ask you, how much is too much?
Well, it depends. Are you paying for the whole card? It depends on what your frame of mind is. I mean, if you're just watching to see Arlovsky Sylvia and that whole debacle,
I couldn't find the price on
$10.
$10. It's going to be more than $10.
$20, most I'll ever pay for it. Forget about it. Don't even ask me for a penny. Penny more than that.
Yeah, I'll be.
Are you going to pay more?
Yeah, probably.
All right, man. Well, I guess we know what we're doing Saturday, man. You're going to watch that whole thing go down. Man, I don't know. Nothing would surprise me at this point.
I still want to see it. I mean, even though these two guys should just call it quits, I still want to see the fight. You drive by a car wreck,
you still look over. You still want to.
With that being said, who thinks he'll win this fight?
I got to say Arlovsky, man. I want to say Arlovsky. I really hope
he's got to be too fast for Tim Sylvia at this point in time.
Got to be too fast for a 300-pound Tim Sylvia.
Glass chin he's got, man.
Both of those guys. Sylvia got knocked out by Mercer in 10 seconds.
Don't compare
10
Don't
seconds.
compare Sylvia taking a Mercer shot to Andrei Arlovsky. I mean, butterflies run into his chin. He falls down, dude.
Ray Mercer's. How old is he? How old is he? 10 seconds. You couldn't last with a 45-year-old. I don't even know. Couldn't even last 10. I mean, come on.
Okay.
We're making an argument here in the Special Olympics. I mean, both of these guys need some help. Let's be honest. I mean, there's a reason they're fighting in the Philippines and not the UFC anymore.
Andrei Arlovsky's going to win that fight.
Let's hope so. So we can't put any duck. We're going Arlovsky?
No, we're going Arlovsky. Do
you think that's a chalk? I don't even check the odds.
I don't even. Is there even any odds? I tried looking today. I couldn't
imagine it would be. How would a bookmaker, put any kind of money on the table?
You make the odds right here. What would you put them at?
Now that I dump all over this whole thing.
Yeah, what would you put them at?
I mean, there's too many questions, man. I don't even see how you could. I can't even come up with a number.
That's not good enough for me. I need a number.
Questions. I got to take. And again, look how the third fight ended. No guys want.
Oh my God!
Can't even go in the last
Give
fight.
me a number, dude.
Minus 200.
Minus 200.
Orlovsky.
Okay, I was thinking Big Timmy be about a plus 150. So yeah, it's not
2-1, 150. That's probably.
Let's do it.
Lock it up. We'll see what happens. Rashad Evans, he's targeting a December return to UFC light heavyweight division, much to the chagrin of everybody who was talking about 185 and Anderson Silva. I mean, how many people Anderson Silva going to fight? And is he going to fight somebody in every weight class? I mean, honestly, what do you think of Rashad coming back? I know we talk about guys in ring rust, and Rashad is one of the guys that stick out to me. Is when he came back and fought Tito, I think that was after a 15-month layoff. And yes, again, I'm talking about your boy.
You had to bring that up.
But it's his last fight. You got to. Well, it's not his last fight, but it's an example of a guy coming back from a 15-month layoff and not having any trouble. Reinventing himself, so that pretty much debunked. That pretty much debunked everything I felt about ring rust. That guy, Rashad Evans. You all right, man?
Why can't we just let my boy sleep, man? I don't understand.
Right?
Why we got to bring up Tito? Rashad's had so many fights in the UFC. You got to bring up that fight against Tito.
15 months. I'm looking at the resume. I'm just saying this layoff shouldn't be a problem. He's still a young guy.
It's not even really that much of a layoff. I mean,
all right, let's get off your boy Tito. Who's he fight? He says he'll fight anybody.
I remember he was calling out Anderson Silva. That fight, why? I mean, if you're gonna make the drop to 185, make the drop to 185 and fight a couple dudes first.
I think he's too big to make 185. To be honest, where's he gonna cut? That guy's. You ever seen pay attention to the legs on Rashad, man. Not sound. Suspect or anything like that. I'm just saying the guy's a big time wrestler.
Rashad's still one of the best 205ers in the world. I don't understand.
Yeah, he's not a guy that's had any real trouble at 205. I mean, there's really no reason for him to move down.
There's big fights. I think to see a guy like maybe Shogun, if depending on the outcome of him and Gustafsson, I'd like to see them two go at it. I'd even like to see him fight Lyoto Machida again, even though Machida's kind of worked himself up to contender status. There's plenty of fights at 205 for Rashad I'd love to see.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, there's and like I said, that division's wide open for grabs as much now as it ever has been. So, you mentioned Machida. I would love to see that fight. I mean, talk about a guy that wants some redemption. I'm sure that's probably the blemish on his career.
So bad in that fight. Yeah, I'm sure he'd love another shot.
Question is, can he do it? We don't know.
No. Still like to see it though.
I'd absolutely love to see it, man. Yeah, what are the odds for that fight, producer? Ooh, minus 325 Sylvia. Wow, that's I think it's an egregious error right there,
Are you sure you're reading that right?
Minus 325, Tim Sylvia.
Tim Sylvia's a 3-1 favorite.
He's almost a 4-1 favorite, Tim Sylvia. That's ridiculous.
No, that is.
Hey, you know what? If for no other reason, just because look at the comp. Okay, Orlovsky's got stretched, but look at who's been stretching him.
Yeah.
And look at who's been stretching Tim Sylvia. I'm just saying. I'm
not quite sure producer Sweats is reading that right.
But yeah, minus 375. I'm gonna have to take a look at that. If that is, that's insane. Somebody's giving it away over there.
Yeah, no, that's pathetic.
Hey,
either that or are the fixes in already? I'm just gonna go out and say that.
You know what, man? In those four countries,
we don't know what's up over there. You have no idea.
You never know. But you know what? I think the judges could take the night off in this fight.
What would your reaction be if Andre Arlovsky walked in there and just got dropped dead the very first punch he got hit with?
I'm going to throw something in my TV.
I mean, I'd be like, are we serious with this guy? I mean,
yeah, no.
So much skills, but it sucks to see a guy with so much boxing skills.
Man.
And just, no chin to go along with it, man.
Seriously, have you seen a better boxer besides Junior Dos Santos or maybe Cain Velasquez in the heavyweight division over the last?
No.
I mean, that technically sound, that big, a big power overhand right. The guy's a brilliant combination, man, but damn, is that shit.
Yeah, I know. It sucks. It's basically cost him his career. Let's be honest here. Let's call it what it is.
It's brutal, man. Speaking of guys, not to get off Rashad for a second, but guys that are, you're talking about him moving down to 185 and all that. I want to ask you, is it bad for fighters to keep moving up and down in divisions? I mean, it's one thing that's kind of getting on my nerves. Everybody's so quick to super fight, but it requires people moving up and down weight classes, and some guys are already too big for the weight class they're in. I mean, do you think it's bad for the longevity of a fighter?
Super fights and catchweight fights. Let's be real here. How many have we seen? We saw the most recent one that comes to mind was Rich Franklin and Vanderlei Silva. That was a catchweight fight. But
tired catchweights, man.
Yeah, leave that. That's more of a spectacle to me. That stuff.
Right. It's
I would love to see these super fights, but it's just not time. It's just not time. Both of these guys have different opponents, and as far as going up and down a weight class, I think there's a select few amount of people that could do it. Dan Henderson obviously was very successful at doing it. But unless you're a big-name guy like him, or even Anderson Silva, who's gone up to 205 a couple times and smashed a couple dudes up there, a guy like him would be okay. But establish yourself in a certain weight class first.
And clean out a division if you're going to move on to the next one.
Or at least establish yourself in the, it would be one thing now for, Hendo to go down, okay, and now I'm going to take a 185 fight. He hasn't cleaned out either one of the divisions, but he's been around enough, and
right.
he could obviously make both weight classes.
There's a few exceptions,
Yes, there's a very few exceptions.
But you look at a GSP. I mean, granted, he hasn't moved up to 185, but he says if he did, he's going to do it the right way. He's going to put on muscle, and that's going to be a permanent home for him. That's how you do it. I mean, you look at guys. I mean. Talk about a guy that thinks that's bad for his health. I mean, he's actually gone on record and said, cutting all that weight is just it's not good for somebody. He likes to cut it naturally, and he wants to put on the weight, the right way. And I think that's how fighters got to do it. Besides the fact that, to me, it takes away from the legitimacy of the division, the promotion. You got guys that won't stay put. Oh, I can't win the title here. Let's drop down and go another weight class, and let's go 2 if that doesn't work out. I mean, it's just stay put. And I think really at the end of the day, that's up to matchmaking and the brass, really. I hope they keep that intact.
Yeah, I agree.
Last story, I got to ask your opinion on this one, man. Your boy Mayweather, he gets out of jail. I don't know if you guys can see that little graphic, man. That's some entourage up there. I think it's like 8-10 people deep. And it's funny because his associate gets 2 to 5 years. He shot at 2 men, allegedly. I guess that's what they're saying, after an argument with Mayweather. And I got to wonder, man, I referenced a Tyson documentary I just got done watching, and you look at guys in boxing, and that's really their downfall. Besides the already small enough window you have in combat sports to earn money, when you get entourage 8-10 people deep, how long do you think a guy like that's going to last and actually have money in Mayweather, first off? And second off, does that surprise you at all? His entourage gets 2 to 5 years for doing anything?
You know what? I don't know the whole story, but apparently,
I don't
apparently one of his homies shot up some dude at a skating rink.
Is it that surprising?
Is it surprising that his buddy did that?
Anybody?
What's surprising to me is that I understand Mayweather isn't in the situation where he can go handle business himself.
True.
But have a couple buddies just kick the crap out of the guy. Do you really got to fire a gun off at him?
I'm saying,
this dude is connected to you somehow. Can't we just have a couple? Look at the beef on some of these guys next to him.
You're right.
You're trying to tell me those guys can't handle business?
Well, that's what you raise an interesting point, because you look at Mayweather and he can't handle business himself. Why? Probably because somebody'd probably try to sue him at the end of the day.
No, he could. Let me rephrase that. He could absolutely handle business himself. The guy's a professional fighter.
But he's going to find himself in a courtroom, somebody trying to gavel him.
Which is a second home for him anyway.
Right, but then you look at what I'm thinking is that you look at a guy who does anything to anybody. Still, people are going to look Mayweather's way. He's the one with the money, not the guy who did the actual.
I just don't get it for a guy that he has this persona like he's just a badass,
right.
and a homeboy, but yet the dude can't handle 30 days in jail, and he needs big beefs, holding pistols.
Yeah.
I don't understand that.
It's crazy.
I don't understand that. The guy's crying after a week in jail because it's going to affect his quality of life.
No,
that's real gangster, by the way. Right?
Right?
I mean that's real homeboy. You can't spend a week in jail, but.
Seriously, it
doesn't surprise me, no.
No, it doesn't surprise me in the least. And like I said, I was watching a real interesting Mike Tyson documentary, and he was talking about how low down Don King was, and he goes through each period of his life and his career, and he's telling you what he was thinking. This is where his downfall was, but the one thing that was consistent through the whole thing was people bleeding that guy dry, whether it was the promoters, the entourage. I mean, the guy's talking about how he blew through, hundreds of millions of dollars, man. And he's a guy, Mayweather is a pay-per-view cash cow like Tyson was back in the day. And like I said, you only get a big enough window. I don't know, would it be fair to say that Floyd Mayweather's probably going to end up broke one day like Tyson? Similar story, similar way of life?
I don't know,
problems?
man. I mean, I certainly want to...
Would it surprise you?
It would not surprise me, no. I mean, I doubt the guy's got a financial genius on his side or in his entourage.
I can't believe that's the case, man. And, every time I turn around, it's somebody in Mayweather camp making excuses or, blaming somebody else for something.
Just, come on, Pacquiao. Just smash this dude already. Can we just get
put that fight together, man? I hope 50 Cent can put something together, man. Put something together, man. Let's put the Mayweather-Pacquiao fight to bed already, and let's see Mayweather do something besides run his gums.
For sure. I mean, if I want to believe that Mayweather didn't realize that one of his homies had a gun on him, but I have a hard time believing that.
Yeah, it's a bit of a stretch. Just say it. Put it mildly.
No.
Hey, man, anything you want to throw out there?
Yeah, real quick. We do every Saturday on our radio show ESPN 1700. We do our beef, and for those fans out there, if you have a beef, feel free to tweet it at MMA on ESPN 1700. Tweet your beef. If we like it, we'll be more than happy to read it on the air.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love those beef segments, man. We're trying to keep it new and original, trying to keep those, do things that nobody else is doing, covering the same sport. It's just, sometimes it gets a bit redundant when you listen to 3 different shows do the exact same stuff. So we're trying to keep it fresh, and pfpsports.com is your website. Saturday mornings, 9 a.m. Pacific time. Click on the radio, click on the ESPN link. You can hear us live, and we'll take your calls too. So make sure you guys get there, and we hope you enjoy.
For sure.
Praise be the Most High. Ain't no lie.
Cheers.
See you guys later. Peace.